Hello and welcome to The Scramble. I'm Jenny Liese. Today we're going to talk about Black Friday shopping and the controversy behind starting on Thanksgiving. We'll also talk about how the president of UNLV, Neil Smatresk, is leaving the university. And if time allows, we'll discuss a new container park in downtown Las Vegas. Joining us are a group of panelists. We have back with us Sara Montes, a graduate student in Journalism Media Studies. Jason Holley, also a graduate student in Journalism Media Studies. Ryan Hamilton, also a graduate student in Journalism Media Studies. Heather Fayerferger, a senior with a double major in journalism.
No, just a regular.
Well, they with just a the major in Journalism Media Studies. Welcome. Thank you all for being on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yes.
Black Friday started on Thanksgiving Day this year with mixed reviews. There were people camped out for days, long lines to get into stores, and fights. Locally, a man was robbed at gunpoint for his TV purchase and shot in the leg on Black Friday, not far from UNLV. Do you guys think the shopping season has gone too far in starting Black Friday on Thanksgiving?
Well, I think you have to. I think we should really kind of reframe that last sentence of the man who was shot carrying the television. First of all, what the mass media won't state, and perhaps this program with that, is that this gentleman was carrying a television at around 11 p.m. in the evening in a part of Las Vegas that is perhaps has the highest crime rate in the Southwest U.S., perhaps at large. So we have to understand that it really is relative. And if you look at the crime rates, and if you're going to be carrying a TV in a high crime area, that's probably going to happen on any day of the year, not just Black Friday.
Are you saying it was just coincidence it was Black Friday?
Right, probably. I wouldn't carry a TV in that part of town any night of any year. Essentially, it's high crime, and it's going to happen.
I think we live in such a materialistic world that it's just become so commercial that people are starting to lose a sense of Thanksgiving. You know, a lot of these stores are opening at 8 p.m. on Thursday night. So where's Thanksgiving dinner? Essentially, it's a 20-minute dinner. People rushing to eat to get out and shop. And I read that this year there was only one death, as opposed to however many there have been in the past. But it's definitely been so commercialized. I mean, every commercial on television, every ad on the internet is Black Friday, rolling into even, Cyber Monday, or even those deals starting early.
You know, living in Las Vegas, we're a 24-hour town anyways, and yes, people here had to start early and work on Thanksgiving, but on the other hand, there's people that work in this town on holidays anyways, so that kind of brings up the issue of, do you feel sympathy for those retail workers that have to work in those times? And myself working on the Strip and having to work holidays and working Christmas Eve and whatever it is, I don't feel sympathy towards retail workers who did have to go in on Thanksgiving. You work in retail, you know what you signed up for, you know you have to work those kinds of holidays. So, people that are complaining, and I do understand the bringing it away from family and away from the holidays, but the fact, I have to work on Thanksgiving, you know what you've signed up for, in my opinion.
Well, nobody's making anybody go shop. I mean, people go shop because they want to. It's not like there's this, nefarious force driving people out of their homes immediately after they eat to go shop. They do it because they enjoy it or because they want the deals. And I think that we should allow people to do what they want for the most part. And I will say that there are a lot of retail workers who don't want to work, and I'm torn because I am sympathetic towards them. But there's a huge portion of them that do. They want to bring home that extra paycheck or those additional hours, right? Or if you're a server on the Strip, you probably make a little bit extra in tips because you're working on Thanksgiving. So I think that there is a balance that plays out there. People want to go shop, and some of the workers actually want to work.
It's a win-win really when it comes down to it, because you have companies which are going to yield additional gains on the holidays, and you're going to have workers who are going to yield additional gains as well personally. So I do think it is a win-win regardless of working on the holiday and perhaps having to be away from loved ones for those workers.
So did anyone of you guys go Black Friday shopping?
I went shopping online.
Yeah,
I've never even gone, and I sometimes I feel like maybe I should, but it's just I can't. The lines and
it's people
waiting
it.
I'd rather pay the additional $20 and another day and avoid that kind of craziness than get the $20 off and have to riot or mob to get a product. It's just not worth it for me. And time-wise, it's probably not worth it either.
Well, plus, I mean, there's a lot of people with kids that feel like they have to get out and do the Black Friday shopping to get the deals with all the prices and the toys and the save money. I know my family, they didn't have much of a Thanksgiving. It was literally 20 minutes and then out shopping for Black
You know, and I
Friday.
think that's actually what a lot of people are kind of gearing now their traditions towards. You know, I've seen that on a lot of news outlets and interviewing these people that are waiting in line outside of Best Buy or whatever, that they're like, you know what, this is our new tradition. We're not even going to sit down and have turkey anymore. We're going to go stand in line for 5 hours and wait for our big screen TV. You know, I don't know. I kind of think it's silly. I have noticed, especially this year, that more retailers are starting their sales early, but then online, I took advantage of that. And, you know, that's where, you know, numbers came out and showed that actually Cyber Monday was much, much more successful than Black Friday was. People were going and buying things offline than actually waiting in the stores. So I think that that's where it's going to kind of go to from now on.
I think eventually Thanksgiving will become a very commercial holiday. You know, as it is, Christmas decorations, everything's up in the stores running right after Halloween. So I feel like we skip over the Thanksgiving and essentially the meaning of the holiday. And you're right, I don't have any sympathy really for the workers because it is what they signed up for. And a lot of them, like Ryan said, need the paycheck, while others may not. It's you know, in the guidelines of when you work retail that, you know, it's what's going to happen.
You know, I just too, though, I hope that things become under control. There's been all those videos surfacing of like, a riot at Walmart and people trampling over everyone. Like it's crazy to me. They need to work on that, but although that's every year.
Well, that's because there's been an erosion of the core values of the U.S. And the U.S. it will never be what it was when it came out of World War II during its, you know, a huge growth spurt, essentially. That's never going to occur again. We're moving away from the core values which center around the family unit, which center around a functional family unit, and we're moving towards materialism. We're moving towards, you know, big screen TVs, essentially. And this is where the culture is going to continue to go. And that's why I believe Black Friday will continue to be successful. Because instead of having a family, wouldn't you much rather wait in line with the other cronies and get a deal on something which you don't need? So.
Or I mean, people may even start having their Thanksgiving maybe the night before, you know, Thanksgiving. So just so they can, I mean, if it further erodes Thanksgiving, people may just spend Black Friday of like Black Thursday. So.
Well, but if it's what people want, I mean, it doesn't bother me, right? Like people who complain about Christmas music starting too early, don't listen to it. It's not like somebody's holding you down, singing "Angels I Have Heard on High" into your ear. It doesn't happen that way. If you don't like it, don't listen to it. If you don't want your Christmas moved up, don't do it. Just because that there are your Christmas displays at Walgreens doesn't mean.
I'll have to cut you off there,
Yeah,
Ryan.
okay.
But
You get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying, and we'll be back with more after this.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
Did you know kids who play outdoors have healthier lungs?
Totally.
Did you know that boys that play with dolls make better husbands?
My son has lots of dolls. But did you know terry cloth diapers breathe better?
I did.
It's totally true.
Oh, yeah.
Did you guys know statistically friendly kids have more friends?
Yeah.
That's obvious.
Did you know most people think they're using the right car seat for their kid, but they're not?
Parents who really know it all know for sure that their child is in the right seat. Visit safercar.gov/the right seat to make sure your child is protected.
NFC, AFC, offensive linemen, defensive tackles, quarterbacks, and cornerbacks are all living united to ensure the academic success of millions of kids in our communities all the way to graduation day. But that won't happen without you. So take the pledge at unitedway.org. Make a difference in the life of a child. Suit up like your favorite NFL players and become a volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor with United Way.
Welcome back to the show, and we are talking about Black Friday. And Sarah, you wanted to say something?
I think just in staying along the lines of pushing, putting up decorations, listening to Christmas music, everything back, because essentially you don't have a choice when you go to the mall and there's Christmas music playing in every single store. There's actually, Nordstrom has some sort of sign up that they put on before the holidays that they say, in order to respect Thanksgiving holiday, that we will not put our decorations up until after that day, and they do it every year. So I think it's the one store that actually does this. And it's interesting because all the other stores are just all about Christmas prior to this, weeks before.
Yeah, and I think there was kind of such a ruckus, whereas everyone was saying we have one less shopping week. You don't have one less shopping week, you have one less shopping week if you procrastinate. But, I was going to bring up before the break that, I've noticed everyone was signing petitions. There was a lot of petitions going on, we will not shop. Sign this petition. Show them that they can't make us work on Thanksgiving because we won't go. You know that that's not going to happen. People are still going to go out. You're still going to have to work, in my opinion.
If you don't want to work on the holidays, don't work in retail.
Exactly. Don't work in the casino. Don't work in the restaurant.
Yeah, there's
don't
not a
work in
lot of
retail.
options for, I think, people who just need a job.
Yeah,
when retail's hiring.
But people have the opportunity to change. People can change their careers. They can change their paths. They can train themselves or get the training necessary to obtain a new job where they don't have to work on the holidays. This is a country where we can do that.
I think that's an oversimplification of the vast majority of people's statuses, but
well,
a single working person
for those
who has limited recourse to funds can't just up and be like, well, I'm going to get a new job today where I get all my holidays and benefits. I mean, everybody would do it if that were the case. It doesn't happen that
I'm not saying there aren't sacrifices to that sort of change. There are indeed sacrifices. And are they going to be worth
Can we agree that some of those sacrifices are beyond the ability of a large portion of the people in this country to make?
Well, it depends.
And by ability, I mean
it's circumstantial.
Actual ability. They can't do it.
It's circumstantial.
Right,
yeah,
but a lot of people just can't meet the circumstances that you're saying.
Well, to say that it would be a lot would need additional empirical evidence, I think. You would need some numbers behind it. But I don't know. It's interesting.
Give me a couple minutes.
What do you guys think about people that bring their kids out to Black Friday? Because in a lot of the videos you see like young children, but then at the same time when you're taking these children out to Walmart and some of these big stores, you see these big riots. Fights happen. Taser guns are coming out. Police are called in. I mean,
there's no reason why you need your child out at 2 o'clock in the morning to go shopping. There's no way. There's no reason for it. At all.
This is a very unusual position for me to take, but there are a lot of people who really can't get the gifts that they need at the regular prices, so they go to the Black Friday, but they also can't afford childcare. So there's only one option for them, and that's if they want the gifts to give to their family so that they all have a nice holiday, is to go out at that time and take the kid with them. I mean, life's tough, man, in the Obama age, and so I definitely think that we should have a little bit more sympathy for the working people who are out there trying to get a low cost and can't afford not to bring their kid with them.
Well, if anything, they can take Mr. Bernanke's low interest rates and put it on the credit card. So, we still deal with U.S. currency in the Obama age. We're still a capitalist society, and they can take out the credit necessary if they have to for the holidays. And there are payment plans. So, I don't know about that argument.
I agree with Heather. I mean, what is a baby, a newborn, sometimes a month old or 2 months old, regardless of the time of the year. But yeah, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., you see these people with their little carts and their babies. I mean, to me, it sounds ridiculous to really save, that little amount. Like you said, you'd rather pay the extra $20.
Well, that's because I have the luxury of being able to pay the extra $20.
And that's true. But I just think it's, why not use online deals, Cyber
I'll
Monday.
Pay the shipping and handling. Go online.
I'm just saying that there are a lot of people who are not in that financial position to be able to afford higher costs, childcare, things like that, and they still want a happy holiday.
I'll have to cut you off there. But,
you know what I'm saying?
And we'll be back with more after this.
Ever wonder what makes us, the Smurfs, so happy? The forest, of course. This is where we, along with the beautiful forest creatures, make our home with beautiful plant life, clean water, and endless adventures. It's a place to celebrate. So discover the forest with your family today. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
Oh, hey, bud. Where are you headed?
Just gonna hang out.
With Gary and Todd?
Yeah?
I've been meaning to ask you, is there any drinking going on in this crowd?
No.
If any of your buddies ever pressure you to take a drink, just tell them you promised your dad you wouldn't. I'd do anything to keep you safe.
Okay, I will.
I hope this is working.
I promise. Love you too, Dad.
They really do hear you. For tips on what to say, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
We have a job to do out here today.
To be a winning team, you have to work like a winning team.
My team depends on me.
And my team is 50,000 strong. Looks like a lot of work's going into this.
This is what it feels like to be part of a team.
A winning team.
The Action Team.
Get in on the action at actionteam.org. Are you in?
Welcome back, and we are switching topics. Smatresk became UNLV's president during one of the worst economic times in the country, and particularly the city. Programs and faculty were being cut while tuition rates jumped. President Smatresk has been a major advocate for the UNLV Now project, the medical school plans here, and the Tier 1 goals for the university. He is also an incredible fundraiser and was able to raise over $500 million in this economy. Now he is leaving to become the president of the University of North Texas. How do you think UNLV will be affected? Do you think the Tier 1 program will be affected? Do you think this will affect the medical school, and especially the UNLV Now project, which has had some serious problems in recent years, or actually in the last year?
You know, the endowment's not going to increase by our president or retaining President Smatresk. Our endowment's going to increase by having successful graduates who actually graduate and obtain positions of leadership in the local community as the economy continues to grow or diversify. That's where the endowments needs to grow, and that's where other successful colleges, universities, that's how they grow. We can't rely on sort of wealthy individuals solely or small donations from graduates. We have to have these successful people in the community from UNLV. So.
You know, I'm graduating, but I'm actually kind of sad to see him go. You know, I've been a student here, and he's been the president the whole time, obviously, but, you know, I am a little nervous for these projects. You know, UNLV Now, I know, is already kind of in limbo. It's not been set in stone for a while, but, you know, yeah, the Tier 1, I'm nervous for all of that, you know. I'm just hoping that whoever the incoming president would be would get briefed on these and you know, try to have the same goals that President Smatresk did, and you know, he leaves a good thing on campus. I think everyone's happy, the students are happy. He's definitely tried not to raise tuition. I mean, generally at times you have to, but I think he's been good for the school, and you know, I'm kind of curious to see what's going to happen after he leaves.
And of course, the UNLV Now project is the project to bring in the mega stadium and the extra housing on campus, and just to really change the look of the campus. And you know, recently with was MGM pulling out and then other people pulling out, then that's really, you know, in limbo, and we don't know what's going to happen with that. So some of these projects, especially that one, really needs a strong advocate, a strong champion for that.
Well, to be honest, UNLV Now is just another pipe dream that was conceptualized during the housing boom here in Southern Nevada. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves here. Look at the projects that were on the table back in 2005, when you could sit in your house and make $100,000 a year if you sold it. We were going to have the Jewelry Center downtown. We were going to have the whole revamping of downtown at large. We were going to have, in addition to the Smith Center downtown, we were going to have other things going on, Charlie Palmer Hotel, et cetera. These things are notorious in Las Vegas, and UNLV Now is just another one of those items which will never materialize.
Well, I think the stadium is worthwhile to note. Thomas Meg is old, you know, and it can't even house the needs for Las Vegas 2016, which is the proposal to get the Republican National Convention here. It would have to have serious modifications. So there is definitely a need for a new stadium. I mean, the National Finals Rodeo, which brings in an incredible amount of money to this city, has said that they will not renew the contract if the Thomas and Mack is the one that's going to be hosting in the long term. So whether it happens on UNLV, which I think would be great, or it happens somewhere else, there's going to be a new stadium. I can't say that it's going to be at UNLV, but it seems like that's a tremendous opportunity for the university to keep some of the events that draw notoriety to it by constructing that project. And I will say that I think that Smatresk's fundraising is not necessarily a product of the man, but a product of the big ideas that he had. It's easier to sell the university when you want to make it less commuter, a Tier 1 research institution. So when he's got these ideas that are on the move, I think the community responds very well to that. But if it's just UNLV as usual...
I'll have to cut you off, but we're making
you know
great
what I'm
points. And we'll be back with more.
A full life, measured in seats, starts with the right ones early on. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Learn how to prevent deaths and injuries by using the right car seat for your child's age and size.
Hey, you going out like that?
Yeah, why?
Well, what would the neighbors think?
I see you. Come look at Mr. Feather.
Look what I have. Mr. Bird, remember?
Bark, bark, bark. We're just playing. We're just playing on trying to get you out of here.
Even still.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Maybe he's really focused.
Hey, Michael. Michael. Maybe he likes spinning the wheels.
Maybe he just loves trucks.
Maybe he's just being a boy.
Preoccupation with objects is one early sign of autism. Learn the others today. The sooner it's diagnosed, the better.
Welcome back to the show. We're talking about President Smatresk, and before the break, I cut you off, Ryan.
Right. It was just about changing what UNLV has been, which is to say, sort of a complacent state institution which has graduated mediocre people with mediocre degrees, and changing that. And I think that in the short time that he's been here, he's made really effective changes to that regard, and the community has responded very positively to that. And so if we can get somebody who's got similarly big ideas, I think that the trend of success will continue.
I would agree with what Ryan says. It's my first semester here at UNLV, and what I've seen, these big ideas that came from him, I think sound like, the good ideas. Like Jason said, though, I think it would require not just one person to implement these ideas. I think it requires the community in itself, the students, the local Las Vegas, people who live here. I think that these ideas can only go so far with just one person. So if, I am anxious to see what the new president will have in store.
And then moving on with big ideas, Tony Hsieh and the container park in downtown Las Vegas, there's been quite a bit of work on that recently, and that has recently opened. Do you guys think that'll bring revenue to Las Vegas? Do you think this was a good project?
Well, of course it's going to bring revenue. I mean, you can put a hot dog stand within a makeshift container anywhere, and of course it'll bring revenue to some degree, especially if you're not charging your tenants any rent, which Tony Hsieh isn't doing.
Stores there sell things that are considerably less desirable than hot dogs, in my opinion.
Well, if you want a vegan shirt, you know where to go.
Fair trade, vegan shirt. No, who's buying this stuff? Like, I don't even understand. The demand is so significant for these kinds of things that there's a store for it.
So, Ryan, you've been down there
Yeah,
by
I
yourself?
was down there, right? And not only that, but you could maybe understand some of these boutique clothiers placements in Summerlin, Boca Park or something, but not in the middle of downtown, not yet anyway. I know that there are some high-end high-rises down there, but the reality of the matter is that I don't think that the placement is particularly effective. My prediction is that a lot of the people who are working there, even though they don't have to pay rent, not yet anyway, a lot of those boutiques are not going to last very long. The restaurants will probably fare a little bit better, but I mean, how many bars and restaurants can you pack into one
Right.
Fremont East District? I mean, they've got to have other things going on down there than boutique clothes. I can't believe anybody wants to buy. And restaurants and bars. I mean, there's just got to be a little bit more than that.
Well, Tony Shea talks about diversification and growing the downtown area. If this is what it is, I don't want to be any part of that. I don't want to see it because it's absolutely absurd to say. And by the way, the container park idea came from his time spent in Brooklyn, New York, when there's a very similar park that actually uses real containers, which the county doesn't allow you to do here. So he built these makeshift faux containers, to which it consists of the container park now. Now. Is there a need for these boutique shops like you would have? They could work in Brooklyn, New York. We don't have the culture of Brooklyn, New York, and downtown Las Vegas.
Quite frankly, I don't want it. I mean, if I
Right.
wanted to participate in a drum circle, I'd move to Portland.
Right.
I like downtown Las Vegas where I can play craps and drink on the street, and I
Right.
don't want anybody meddling with that. If I didn't like that, I'd move. So any major changes to that kind of culture, I bristle at.
Well, I have to cut you guys off right there, but we'll be back with more after this.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
I don't think anyone captured my first steps on camera. I was the 5th kid, and by that time, first steps weren't a big deal. I was 16 and driving home with my brother Ben. A distracted driver hit us. Ben died on impact. I had 47 days in a hospital bed for reality to settle in. With a major spinal cord injury, doctors said I would never walk again. But deep down, I knew I would. I prayed that every day. Family, friends, strangers, all started to pray for me to be able to walk again. The progress has been slow, and the victories hard won, but I feel the prayers.
Whether you need support in a tragedy or just to make it through a bad day, prayer can make a difference. America, let's come together by believing with each other.
For someone to come alongside you and say, I'm going to believe with you, it means a lot.
Welcome back to the show, and Heather, you had a final comment for us.
I was just going to say, even if there's boutiques, you know that it's the boom that downtown needed. You know it's the expansion, and people will still go. They'll shop in the vegan boutiques.
All right. Well, now you know what we think. Let us know what you think. Share your opinions and any ideas or topics you would like us to scramble about to thescramble.unlv@gmail.com. You can also catch full episodes of The Scramble at UNLV.TV. That's all the time we have for today. For all of us here at The Scramble, thanks for joining us, and we hope to see you next time.